Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World's on Fire podcast. I am your unofficial announcer speaking, and I'm here to inform you that the podcast will begin in earnest with a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And a gracious good evening to you and yours. This is your announcer for the World's on Fire podcast. That would be dead President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And I say to you that Donald Trump is the slimiest thing on the face of the earth. But there might be one more thing that's slightly more slimy, and that would be the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Be that as it may that as it be, here is your host for the World's on Fire. Give it up for John McIntyre. Woohoo! Thank you so much, dead President Kennedy. You're a regular Ed McMahon. You're a regular Andy Richter. You're a regular dead president who's really good at announcing. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Pittsburgh and all the ships at sea. This is the World's on Fire podcast. I am your resident nattering nabob of negativism, John McIntyre. Here now, some headlines from the week that was. The water lilies are blooming in Washington, D.C., but not nearly as much as the sea of green algae in the reflecting pool. Trump claims there are evildoers afoot with sharp knives cutting his precious pool, but unsurprisingly, he has zero evidence to back it up. 2 judges try to put fat orange Jesus in his place and tell them that he can't fuck with local elections because elections are run by the locals. Despite the numerous clear and obvious statements which prove Donald Trump is a racist who does not like Haitians, the Supreme Court says he can deport all these Haitians all back to where they came from, or as Trump likes to call it, a shithole country. And Bullwinkle Mussolini pardons another white-collar criminal who defrauded thousands of mom-and-pop investors. And ain't that America for you and me? Live at Baby Boomer Central, as you can see, Jack Kennedy has got my back, along with John Paul George and Ringo, fancy themselves a podcast every now and again. And as an ancient Baby Boomer warrior might just say at this moment in time, what's it all about, algae? Says Bill McIntyre. Hello, Don. Hello, Joan. Let's rock and roll. Trump says a lot of stupid shit, but when he goes full batshit crazy, it can be record-setting stupid shit. You already know about his no-bid contract to clean up the reflecting pool outside of the Lincoln Memorial, and it resulted in a green algae infestation of biblical proportions. What's more, the blue paint job he ordered is now separating from the pool and floating away. 14 million smackers. I've actually heard it's up to 16 million smackers now down the crapper, all for an unnecessary, horrible idea carried out by more incompetent Trumpian stooges. And here's where even more stupidity comes in. Trump is trying to blame random vandals for the trouble. He alleged on Truth Social, he said that someone took some form of knife or blade and put a 250-foot gash into the beautiful facade that it took so much money to build and complete. Wait a minute, I don't know if it was 250 feet, maybe it was 350 feet. He ad-libbed. Needless to say, there is zero evidence of this alleged crime, and Fat Orange Jesus is just talking out of his ass again. Meantime, 5 people who were guilty of nothing were arrested and 5 more citations were issued. One guy was a former Olympic athlete who simply put his hand in the pool. His name was David Daisy Hearn, and he was detained for 5 hours because he reached up and grabbed a peach of detached coating in the reflecting pool. Hardly a vandal with evil intent. Tourist Linda Monroe says the algae was a jarring sight and, quote, it's a lot worse than they show on TV. It's a lot worse in person. Well, green slime will get you every time, especially when you're just a few inches away from it. As many have observed, this is the perfect Trump scandal. There's no real problem, but he claims there is. There's no need to consult experts, not if you're Donald Trump, because he alone can fix it. Why go through the regular channels to select pool fixtures when he already knows a guy who happens to live near Mar-a-Lago? Shit goes south suddenly, then he has to invent conspiracy theories. He's not sure whether it's a 250 feet worth of cuts or 350 feet. He says there are pictures of the vandalism. There aren't. He's putting bullshit explanations out of his ass, or pulling them out of his ass, because it's really embarrassing to admit that you're such a monumental dumb fuck who just plain screws the pooch and creates an ugly sea of scum just in time for America's 250th birthday. Trump claimed that Obama spent $100 million trying to fix that pool. He didn't. Obama spent $37 million. He said after Obama did that it never opened. It did open. It was open. He claims Obama and Biden were going to spend $300 to $400 million to fix it. That's a lie. They were not going to do that. But how about the utter ridiculous nature of the lie that the vandals were cutting up 350 feet of the reflecting pool, and what? Nobody noticed? You're there for God knows how long making little cuts worthy of 350 feet and nobody fucking noticed? You gotta keep it separated. That's right, Jim Dunmire. Trump is a bumbling, babbling brook of boisterous bullshit. He is a moron's moron. Everything he touches turns to shit, or in this case, algae. Anybody who believes this nonsense about vandals is a major league fucking moron. Sadly, we remain surrounded largely by major league fucking morons, although many of them these days aren't even fucking. They're just morons. The majority of the Supreme Court justices, the conservative ones, are straight up racist, and sadly, in my opinion, that includes, ironically, Uncle Clarence. These idiots voted 6-3 to allow Trump to deport the shit out of people from Haiti, people who had previously been issued protective status. Donald Trump, as you know, is a racist motherfucker. He has publicly indicated his disdain for black people from Haiti countless times. Justice Kagan reminded us of what Trump has said in her dissent. Quote, Haitians are eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people who live in Springfield. Also, Haitians are also eating other things that they're not supposed to eat. And Haitians in the United States probably have AIDS. And Haiti is a shithole country with filthy, dirty, and disgusting people. And Haitian immigration is like a death wish for our country. And Haitians, along with some others, are poisoning the blood of our country. And why is it we only take people from shithole countries like Haiti and Somalia? Why can't we have people from Norway and Sweden? The majority of the Supreme Court briefly replied that those remarks are not overly racial. The Supreme Court, the majority of them said those remarks are not overly racial. They're not just overtly racial. They are overtly racist. These fucking justices are straight up racist assholes, period, and they want to pretend that even if they believe racism once existed in their out of touch MAGA Republican minds, they want to pretend that racism is obsolete. It just doesn't exist anymore. You can take John Roberts' word for it. You can take Samuel Alito's word for it. No longer a problem. No boy. Shelley Wolf. Nursing homes will have no employees. Well, that would be a horrible state of affairs. Guy Fink, yeah, everyone's a fucking liar. But him, excuse me, it's always somebody else. What a dick. Yes, well, what a tiny little orange dick. The World's on Fire podcast, that's what you're watching right now. It's brought to you by the Parkway Theater in McKees Rocks, home of the August 8th storytelling show featuring storytellers, me, John McIntyre, Rick Seaback of WQED, Bethany Hallam, a controversial county councilwoman, and independent journalist extraordinaire Natalie Bensavenga. That's August 8th. Stay tuned for announcements about tickets going to be on sale soon. By Ruby's Winehouse, the best damn wine bar in Allegheny County. You should check it out on the inner tubes, rubyswinehouse.net. And by Venmo. Yes, we're getting into a holiday weekend soon, just the time to get into the holiday spirit and Venmo me some cash because you appreciate this podcast at John-McIntyre-27. All right, it is the endless scandal that isn't going anywhere. You gotta love the Epstein scandal. Why the funk has the Trump administration been redacting the shit out of the Epstein files to protect potential perpetrators while being sloppy as hell in not trying to protect the victims? CBS is reporting that a judge on Thursday ordered the Justice Department to either release unredacted versions of several files on Epstein or explain why they can't do it, following a lawsuit accusing acting Attorney General Todd Blanche of improperly redacting documents. U.S. District Judge Emmett Sullivan gave the government until Thursday, July 2nd, to comply. The documents in question include 8 emails with either the sender or recipient blacked out, a draft indictment of Epstein with the names of potential co-conspirators obscured, and a 2019 email that mentions several co-conspirators whose names were for some reason redacted. Judge Sullivan ordered the Justice Department to either release the interview notes behind several FBI documents summarizing unverified allegations against President Trump or explain why it couldn't release them. The government was also ordered to release a long list of every redaction it has made to the files that it has published on Epstein as required by law. So they have to release a long list of every redaction that they've made so far, and that is required by law. We'll see what the fat orange mob boss and his henchmen do with the judge's order. David Roth, Fool me once, shame on you. That's right. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again. And one of the most disingenuous douchebags in the history of douchebaggery has been ordered to appear before a House committee on July 20th to try to explain his close association and legal defense of Mr. Epstein. That would be Alan Dershowitz, or if you prefer a Trumpian-type nickname, Alan Douchewitz. You know, it's more clever than Democrats. The Hill reminds us that Dershowitz helped secure a controversial plea deal for Epstein in 2008, in which the disgraced financier agreed to plead guilty to 2 Florida state prostitution charges in exchange for immunity from the federal sex trafficking charges. He served 13 months in prison, but he got to leave during the day. It was quite the notorious sweetheart deal. Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre at one time accused Epstein of trafficking her to Dershowitz, which Dershowitz has denied. She later recanted the accusation, but it was a part of a settlement agreement that she entered into. Dershowitz has denied any wrongdoing in connection with Epstein's crimes. This just in, nobody believes him. Dershowitz says he can come clean because he has nothing to hide. Quote, I offered to testify, volunteered for the past few months. I will personally not invoke privilege. I have nothing to hide. I hope they have videos of Epstein rooms, bedrooms. I'm willing to testify truthfully about Les Wexner. All of it, Dershowitz said, referring to the billionaire and Epstein's former financial manager. So, even if Dershowitz is lying, does he have any information that might be useful? We shall see. He says he's not going to take the fifth. Sam Cox, why did Jeff Priscilla leave WTAE? I don't know. I'm not even sure why he left KDKA, but it does seem odd that a talented journalist such as himself keeps getting shit canned. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's a villain. I have not yet... If I run across any juicy gossip about why they keep firing meteorologist Jeff Priscilla, I will pass it along. Trump knows he's going to get his ass handed to him in the midterms. Who doesn't? So he's trying to minimize the damage by being an unethical scumbag and inserting himself into local elections, which are constitutionally the exclusive province of state and local officials. Thank God some of the judges we have are trying to hold the line against his cheap authoritarianism. Trump tried to blackmail local election officials by saying, hand over your voter rolls, or I will tell the post office not to deliver your mail-in ballots. Well, U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani of Massachusetts said, fuck you can't do that because locals rule elections. I am paraphrasing, of course. Talwani ruled that Trump's order tried to intimidate local election officials into using flawed citizen lists under the threat of prosecution and, quote, such efforts fall outside the president's Article 2 and otherwise delegated authority. In other words, you can't fucking do that because you don't constitutionally have the fucking power or the fucking authority, you power-grabbing asswipe. Axios reported that Talwani determined that the Congress had not delegated authority to the USPS to control mail-in voting and said it lacks the ability to promulgate regulations on voting by mail. Fuck Trump and all his phony voting corruption horse he rode in on. All he does is lie. All he can do is lie. All he knows how to do is lie. It's the most disgusting, unethical, scandalous, ridiculous administration in the history of the country, and it ain't over yet. I know they didn't renew his contract, Jim Dunmire, but take my word for it, as a broadcaster whose contract hasn't been renewed, that is tantamount to being shit canned. As you know, Trump is trying to federalize elections so he can cheat and not get royally rat-fucked in the midterms. As you also know, the elections belong to the states, as I just mentioned, and Trump cannot simply declare himself the king of elections. And this week, another judge effectively told Trump to fuck off and stick his attempts at election thievery up his flabby orange ass. Once again, I'm paraphrasing. CNN reporting a federal appeals court judge rejected demands by the DOJ that Michigan turn over non-public information in their voter registration files in the biggest setback to the Trump administration's attempt to obtain and audit unredacted voter rolls from states across the country. The 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said that Michigan was not obligated to produce the confidential voter data, which the court, could include social security numbers and driver's license ID numbers, because, of course, why the fuck would the federal government need to see any of that? They're obviously trying to gather information in order to disqualify people they think will not vote for fucking MAGA Republicans. 9 judges at the district court level have ruled against the administration's efforts. This is the first time an appeals court has weighed in, potentially setting up the stage for a Supreme Court showdown. Bullwinkle Mussolini is not God. If only someone could convince him of this fun fact. Katie Fang one. Excellent, Bob Ben. Glad to hear that. Why is Val Porter out at DV and 3WS? I was very surprised about that, Sam Cox, because, first of all, I'm a fan of Val. She's a talented broadcaster. Secondly, they just promoted her to afternoons at 3WS not long ago. Thirdly, she just got a new headshot. And when people in public life, in the performance industry, including broadcasting, get new headshots, it means they think they're going to be around for a while. That's why they need the new headshots. But clearly, iHeart is just trying to save money. And Val has been there for iHeartMedia for more than 20 years. Maybe she's earning a pretty penny by now, and maybe that is why she had a target on her back. I don't know. Now, RFK Jr. with a word about Ruby's Winehouse. Hello, I'm RFK Jr., and I must tell you that the food is so fucking great at Ruby's Winehouse in Coraopolis that it beats munching on a whale carcass. It beats munching on a bear carcass, and it barely beats out munching on a dead raccoon's penis, all of which I have done. I must tell you that as a Kennedy, I drink my ass off. And when I'm not busy trying to make sure people get infected with measles or get the flu from not taking a flu shot, I get my ass down to Ruby's Winehouse in Coraopolis for their seasonal cocktails, for their fantastic Italian food, and for their excellent wine list. I'm telling you, if you don't think Kennedys know how to drink, then you haven't been paying attention. By the way, one of my nephews, Schlossberg, just lost the other day. And fuck him and the Schlossberg he wrote in on. But more importantly, they always give you a fair pour at Ruby's Winehouse. So check it out on the internet, Ruby's Winehouse in Coraopolis. You tell them Bobby Kennedy Jr. sent you. And whatever you do, just stick to the cocktails and the wine while you're there. Don't ask for a shot. See what I did there? Don't ask for a shot. Get it? Don't ask for a shot. See what I'm trying to imply there? See my humorous humor? Don't get a shot. Now back to Johnny Mac. Thank you so much, Bobby Kennedy Jr. You are a disgrace to your family and this country and the Department of Health and Human Services and sanity, for that matter. Have I ever seen any black bears out by you? I have not, David Roth. Is the Strait of Hormuz open or closed today? I don't know, Joan. It keeps opening and closing and closing and opening. David says, new headshot job hunting. I don't think that's why she got the headshot. I think she assumed she was going to be here for a while. Because I assume the station paid for the fucking headshot. Because they usually do if you're employed. All right. Trump can be as thick as a brick. When the handwriting is on the wall, when it's as plain as the nose on your face, to mix some metaphors, Trump is still often too goddamn dumb to get it. He still wants the Save America Act to pass, which would usher in ridiculous restrictions on American voters. The Senate does not have the votes to pass it. Trump wants them to get rid of the filibuster so they can pass it. But the GOP senators know that they may soon be in the minority, and their only hope of having some influence is if the filibuster remains intact. So, the Save America Act is fucking dead as a doornail. Trump thinks he can bully senators into passing it. He cannot. He's pushed some senators by primarying them. He's pushed them out. But so these particular senators, the ones who can't run anymore, don't give a shit. Other senators have terms that go beyond Trump's remaining years, so they tend not to give a shit. This week, the petulant pussy grabber decided he would not sign a major bipartisan housing bill which would make housing more affordable. He thought this would make senators pass the stupid bill, his reluctance, his refusal to sign the housing bill. It will not work. Even morons have to figure out eventually how to sometimes take no for an answer unless you're the world's most powerful, biggest fucking moron, and you're too fucking thick for reality to ever sink into your stupid cranium. Joan, did you know that dumb is spelled with a B? I was aware of that, yes. You're watching the World's on Fire podcast with your nattering nabob of negativism, John McIntyre, yelling at his iPhone once a week live in his living room. Once again, does Melania poop in the woods? I tell you this, if I do poop in the woods, it's still a wonderful thing because Melania's shit don't stink. And so I can poop in the woods and not alienate any of the little furry animals. Not only is Orange Jesus a notorious pathological liar, he is also a self-aggrandizing douchebag, constantly comparing himself to major figures in history, but this time he took a step too far when he was trying to pretend that he belongs on Mount Rushmore or some similar entity. You've heard about the book by New York Times reporters Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan. It's called Regime Change. So these reporters were interviewing Trump for the book, and Trump claimed that a historian A historian, a presidential historian, recently ranked Trump higher than any other historical figure in terms of having absolute power. And he showed the reporters a document to prove it. According to this piece of paper, Trump is more powerful than Attila the Hun, Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Stalin, Mao, and Hitler. An interesting claim by a man who makes a living studying history, this alleged presidential historian. But turns out it was not an historian who told Trump all of this. Where did Trump get the document? Trump had recently played golf with his old pal Gary Player, and Player has a caddy, as golfers do. And for some reason, this particular caddy happens to be obsessed with history, and it was the caddy's opinion that Trump is more powerful than any leader in the history of the world. The fucking caddy. No particular expertise except in being a caddy. So President Bozo, didn't he think reporters would fact-check this claim? Why is he so fucking stupid that he thinks reporters would just swallow this and print it without questioning it? Has there ever been a person in history, political or otherwise, who was so completely and totally absurdly full of shit? Spoiler alert, the answer is no. Get your questions ready for Ask John Anything, won't you? Donald Trump is a complete and total fraud. But this just in, there's a certain amount of irony here, arguably. For example, he claims to be a successful businessman, but he drove several businesses into the ground. He's a fraud. He's always looking for election fraud, but the election fraud doesn't exist. Yet he continues to make the utterly fraudulent claims that it does. And now he's willing to pardon a major league fraudster who scammed victims out of millions because, Orange Jesus loves him some white-collar criminals. If you're a white-collar guy and you swindle people out of shitloads of money, you are his cup of tea. David Gentile, a private equity executive who was convicted in a $1.6 billion scheme that defrauded thousands of mostly mom-and-pop investors, some of whom lost their retirement savings, reports the New York Times. He pardoned this guy. He obtained a pardon from Trump. How the fuck did that happen? Well, federal prosecutors in Brooklyn launched an investigation. They're thinking, how did this fucking ridiculous commutation come about? And then Trump's DOJ, predictably, killed the investigation. Because when Donald Trump accepts secret bribes and favors to commute someone's sentence, well, he doesn't want the truth to come out. Among the evidence they gathered before the investigation was killed is that Mr. Gentile discussed making payments of $2.5 million or more to people at companies to help facilitate his clemency, according to two people with knowledge of the investigation. So there you have it. He was going to pay somebody off, perhaps Trump himself, for the get-out-of-jail-free card. Just another day in Trumpistan where bribery rules and the rule of law drools. David, so does this amount to business fraud if you're running the country like a business? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. When Trump isn't pardoning his rich, corrupt friends, he's investigating innocent people just to rattle their cages. He's always fucking with political opponents. For example, former vice presidential candidate and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The thing is, these investigations never amount to shit because there's zero substance to them. Political reporting: a federal judge threw out the Justice Department grand jury subpoenas aimed at Governor Walz and his allies. The judge called them abusive and retaliatory. They said they were just trying to punish Walz based on his refusal to assist President Trump's immigration crackdown. Yep, it's all about revenge. It's all about the wannabe mob boss punishing people. U.S. District Judge Patrick Schiltz said that there was no doubt that the subpoenas were issued to damage Walz. Part of what he said was a pattern of the Trump administration efforts to use the criminal process to punish his adversaries. In fairness, there's only no doubt because Trump is a transparently unethical piece of shit who likes to fuck with people because he can, and that's as clear as the nose on your face or even my face. The George W. Bush appointed chief judge said that Trump's repeated attacks and promises of retribution against Walz, a Democrat, and other Minnesota officials, quote, establishes beyond reasonable dispute that Trump was just fucking with Walz to be a vindictive asshole. I am paraphrasing. Did I see your tarp over the pool rendering, David? I don't think I did. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, get your questions for Ask John Anything, because this is the final item. The final item. There is a firm consensus that while Donald Trump fancies himself as an outstanding commander-in-chief, he is in fact a blithering idiot. Although in fairness, I tend to think of him more as a blathering idiot. But the thing is, this blathering idiot apparently either didn't believe his advisors who told him before the war in Iran that Iran could close the Strait of Hormuz and that would fuck with the worldwide economy. He thought he could apparently somehow dance around that obvious move that was to be made by Iran with his Trumpian magic. Conservative commentator Beckett Adams wrote on The Hill that he thought CNN initially was full of shit when they reported the White House had no plan that if Iran closed the strait. But after witnessing Trumpian incompetence, Beckett is conceding CNN was right. He concludes, quote, "The most astonishing thing about the White House's capitulation in Iran, beyond the Islamic Republic's victory in the face of a clear power disparity, is that the White House obviously jumped into the war with no real consideration or plan for the possibility that Iran might block the Strait of Hormuz. This, despite U.S. military strategists warning for decades about this exact scenario. I apologize," said the commentator. Quote, "CNN sources were clearly correct. This iteration of the Trump presidency is exactly as inept as advertised." End of quotation. Well, welcome to the party, pal. If you haven't figured out that Trump is an incompetent moron, you might even be stupider than Trump. Maybe. This broadcast was brought to you in part by pizza from Lawrenceville. Ladies and gentlemen, driftwood oven pizza from Pizza Chef Kevin. This is sausage, mushroom, onion, and pepperoni. Sausage, mushroom, onion, and pepperoni. It's not just good, it's fucking good. It's not just good, it's fucking good. It's from Driftwood Oven and Pizza Chef Kevin. This is Bernie Sanders. If you need a Jewish space laser, we can get you an authentic George Soros Jewish space laser. Just dial 1-800-Jew-LASER. That's 1-800-Jew-LASER. 1-800-Jew-LAZR. And now, my infamous Bud Dwyer impression. One more time. Hi, I'm Bud Dwyer. Thank you very much. I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh. Ha 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 ha! Or to sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time it's time to load my bong, bong, bong. Questions ready for Ask John Anything. You were saying the reflecting pool looked like the surface of Venus, David Roth? That's a fair comparison. Ruby'sWinehouse.net. Check out Ruby's Winehouse is the best damn wine bar in Allegheny County, bar none. Ruby'sWinehouse.net. The Parkway Theater. Tickets will go on sale soon for the August 8th storytelling show featuring myself, Rick Seaback, Bethany Hallam, and independent journalist Natalie Benzavinga. So that'll be on sale soon. Stay tuned for that. And, be in the holiday spirit. It's almost the 4th of July. Celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country by contributing to a commentator that you enjoy watching on Fridays or whenever you see it, if you see the recorded version. At John-McIntyre-27, yes, you too can Venmo me some money. But if for some reason you want to send me money the old-fashioned way, as in the checks in the mail, text me after I'm done shutting the fuck up. Or after I'm done shutting the fuck up. And I could give you my snail mail address. People have done it. I like the old school. I like the new school. Don Maui, Trump is closing the Parkway East to distract East Enders from the Epstein-sponsored war. Well, we've all got our conspiracy theories, Don Maui. Jim Denmeyer, did you see that Dr. Phil is selling snake oil on TV? I'm Dr. Phil, and I got a snake, and you should buy his oil. It's the best damn snake oil there is anywhere, and I think you should buy it. I haven't seen that, but it doesn't surprise me. Where is Melania this week? I tell you, Melania is back in the Trump Tower in New York, where she's having sex with the head of security, which she has been doing for many years. It was revealed in the new book, Regime Change, by the New York Times reporters, that I do not sleep in the same bedroom with Donald Trump when I'm in the White House. And there's a good reason for that. He is the most disgusting, smelly human being in the history of human beings, and I do not want any part of his tiny little orange penis, and I don't want any part of his shitting his pants and smelling like he does, and I don't want his stupid Big Mac wrappers laying all over the bedroom, and he is really the most gross and disgusting person ever on the scene. Any questions for Ask John? Anything? Banana baseball, Saturday. Do you like banana baseball? I've seen some of it on television, and I've enjoyed it occasionally. Have I ever been to Spain? No, but I kind of like the music. Oh, the ladies are insane there. And they sure know how to use it. I assume you're prompting me for that a cappella nonsense. I've not been to Spain, but I do have a passport now. I got it today. I filled the paperwork out, and it got mailed in last Wednesday. Okay, now a week and 2 days later, it arrives in the mail. What the fuck's going on? When did the federal government become that efficient? God bless them. Am I watching the World Cup? No, Shelley Wolf, but I know that many, many are with much affection, with wild abandon. They're on the edge of their seats. I heard that the United States lost a meaningless contest, but there's more ahead that are meaningful. And so good luck to all of you who love that. And I recognize that I'm in the minority. I think most people are into the World Cup. Should we recommend Sean Duffy as Father of the Year for saying the word libtard? Oh, yes, while his daughter with Down syndrome was present. Yes, I think that's an excellent idea. I think that's an excellent nomination. You have a great weekend too, Gigi Gerben. Gigi Gerben, thank heaven for little girls. Thank heaven for little girls. Every little breeze seems to whisper Louise. Gigi Gerben is hanging out in the trees. Any other questions for Ask John Anything? When I'm done, I will post the rant on my page and many other Facebook political pages. I am taking next week off. I'm fucking off because it's 4th of July weekend, but I will return with a vengeance for the next several weekends in a row through the August 8th storytelling show so I can promote the shit out of it. So next week, I'm taking the week off. But I will return the following week, and every week after that through at least August 8th. Any other questions for us, John? Anything? I bet you paid extra for the Trump pictures on your passport. Fortunately, I was able to avoid that. Passport, where am I going? Susan Gotti, I'm going nowhere fast so far, but I went to Aruba several times years ago, and I would like to go back there to start. After that, I'm not sure. I would like to go back to Aruba. I love Aruba. Great climate. You feel very safe there, unlike some islands in the Caribbean. And also I want to be able to travel domestically in the United States, and I haven't gotten the real ID yet, but now that I have a passport, I don't need one. As I understand it, you can fly domestically with a passport. Don McBride, the fact that you're watching is coming up many, many times. A la Matt Berry is watching, but Don McBride is watching as the new Matt Berry is watching. And Don, we hope you're doing well, considering. I hope you're holding up okay. As the cliche goes, our thoughts and prayers are with you. And thank you, Jim, for saying that. And I don't know that I have much else to say. You're welcome, Mike Anderson. Yes, open your hearts, open your wallets. Venmo me some cash at John-McIntyre-27. All right, Lord willing and the Quick Don't Rise, I will be back 2 weeks from tonight. That'll be in July, and it'll be, I think, and I'm not even going to estimate it, but it's the weekend after the 4th of July that I'll be back. 500, what do you mean? Oh, yes, we're a game above 500. The Pittsburgh Pirates, everybody, are a game above 500, everybody. And Paul Skeens is on the mound tonight, everybody, at PNC Park as the Cincinnati Reds come to town for a 3-week homestand, everybody. The Reds were just swept by none other than the Milwaukee Brewers, another division rival in the NL Central for your Pittsburgh Pirates, everybody. Mark Despotakis, I remember when you showed your disastrous trip to Aruba on Night Talk. Oh, yeah. I think that's still on YouTube somewhere. My girlfriend at the time and I flew back from Aruba. We landed in Raleigh, North Carolina. And the charter company that took us to Aruba said, the plane broke and we don't have any other planes. So I had to buy or rent a car and drive the 10 to 12 hours from Raleigh, North Carolina. But before I did, I bitched out the airline people like I've never bitched out anybody before. And my friend George Parfit, a photographer who happened to have a video camera with him, taped the whole thing and we put it on YouTube. That's funny that you remember that, Mark Despotakis. Am I mispronouncing that? Despotakis? Don't need a passport, just the TAA. Tell TSA that I know Jim. Okay. You're welcome, everybody. All right. Dawn says, I'm useful. Thank you. I appreciate that. I would like to be useful. If only, I mean, that's something. You know what I mean? Because it sure beats being useless. And if there's any other way I can be useful, Dawn, you let me know. Seriously, I don't know how, but if there's some way I can be useful to you, don't fucking hesitate. Last bitch. Let's go first pitch, everybody. Okay. I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, I realize you're talking about the Pirates and talking about baseball. But anyway, all right. I'll be back 2 weeks from today. God damn it. Be there or be square. See you in 2 weeks. Same bat time, same bat channel. Be there